Well, welcome back to the Discover Fort Smith podcast. My name is Josh Bufink. I'm with the city of Fort Smith, and in place of my usual co-host, Emily Horn, we have Ashley Backert, who's the executive director of the Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Right now.
Not at all. We brought in the heavy hitter to co-host this with me today, but they're also known as Discover Fort Smith, and we're really excited to have our guest on today, Dr. Christopher Smith with the Arkansas Colleges of Health Education. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And I should mention that we're actually filming today at the Research Institute Health and Wellness Center of AIC, which is just another facility that you guys have. And they do research projects here. They also have wellness programming and I know
cooking classes and pottery
classes.
Yes.
Whoa.
That was awesome.
Our moment. So we're very thankful for you guys allowing us to film in here all day and love this facility. But you actually office at the other facility, right?
Yes.
Which is near Chaffee, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your story, and then what you do for Arkansas Colleges of Health Education.
Sure. Well, starting off, I serve, I call it a pleasure, serving as assistant provost and director of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so my day-to-day focuses on the strategizing of how can we ensure that our institution remains reflective of the future patients that our students will be serving, but also of the country. In addition, bringing all of those individuals from their respective identities and communities together, ensuring that they feel included, that they feel welcome. Because we have students from Arkansas, from Mississippi, Texas, all the way to California to even New York. Mm-hmm. So when you have those individuals who come from hundreds of miles away, first time in Arkansas, they will have a preconceived idea of what Arkansas is. Yeah. Our job is to show them what Arkansas and Fort Smith really is about. It's about community. It's about family. It's about being there and looking out for one another. Yeah. And one of the things that I enjoy doing is interacting with applicants on interview day across all of our academic programs. And I'll inquire, their undergrad institution, and pretty much their why. Yeah. Like, why did you choose medicine or occupational therapy or physical therapy? And, we get into the weeds of who they are. But one of the things that I try to make sure that I focus on is that your why aligns with our mission. Yeah. And so, because once you kind of focus on your why, and if it aligns with the mission, you then will be able to understand that your patients or your future patients, they're going to want to know your why. Right. And if your why ties back to our mission to providing that service to rural and underserved communities, then that's where the best care is going to come from. It's led with compassion. And so for me, focusing on creating that environment, that welcoming environment for students, faculty, and staff, working with our recruiters, our admissions team, and our academic deans, but then also working with faculty and other offices on campus to help fill in the gaps. If there's a goal or something that an office wants to achieve, for me being someone on the outside looking in, I can ask that question, well, did you think about this? Mm-hmm. Or what if we move these two pieces? How does that work? Yeah. And so it's just providing a fresh set of eyes or ideas to a goal that they have. And we have rock stars at AIC, from the first floor all the way to the third, and over here at the Research Institute Health and Wellness Center. But for me, it's about helping provide solutions anywhere I can find opportunities to serve. And so that's kind of a long way of describing what I do at the institution. But it's been a great nearly 3 years of serving as assistant provost and director of diversity, equity, and inclusion. But to your second point or question regarding a little bit more about myself.
Yeah.
So I am a native of Southwest Arkansas, born and raised in a place called Hope. We produce
awesome town name.
Elected officials. We produce watermelons and also Clips speakers. And so many individuals may not know about Clip speakers, but those were the go-to speakers back in the day.
Yeah, so, I had some in my car. I remember getting those Clip speakers installed. I was so excited.
Yes, and we take great pride in that. So for me, with my story growing up, I am the youngest of 5. So I kind of saw what not to do from some of my siblings, but we have such a great relationship with all 5 of us. My parents, they have been married over 50 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. My mother, she passed in 2020, and that was my rock.
Yeah.
She was definitely the support for me, the best friend thought I never had.
Yeah.
But she was great. And just seeing her and my father, how they managed to raise 5 kids, both work, be active in the community and in the church.
Yeah,
was one of those things that was very impactful. And so for me, seeing that example of my parents just being servant leaders really instilled in me the values of family, of faith, of fun, but also of advocating for individuals that are either unseen or unheard.
Yeah.
And so that kind of ties into what I do and who I am now.
Yeah.
So throughout all of that, being born and raised in Hope, getting my education at various institutions within the state, and then having the privilege and pleasure of obtaining my doctorate from University of Southern California, at that time, I didn't want to focus on a higher ed degree, or major rather, but it was more so on organizational change and leadership.
Yeah.
How can I go into an organization, look at the great work they're doing, and say, how can we go from good to great? How can we achieve excellence, not perfection, because you'll never get that, but how can we be excellent? And so that's kind of what poured me or led me to this institution and even to Fort Smith. And so the funny story, prior to coming here, I was serving as Dean of Student Services at the University of Arkansas, Hope, Texarkana.
Oh, okay.
And I remember a good friend of mine who lives in Northwest Arkansas, he called and he said, hey, I think there's a job opportunity that I want to tell you about. And I said, okay. He told me the name of the institution. I said, where is it? He said, Fort Smith. And I'm thinking, is it a part of the University of Arkansas, Fort Smith? He said, no, it's its own institution. And I'm thinking, Fort Smith has a medical school?
Yeah.
And he said, yeah. He said, go to their website, look at it. And I remember Googling AIC, and I just fell in love.
Yeah.
with the website, with the institution, with the mission. And I said to myself, okay, now I need to read the history of this school.
Yeah.
What are you doing currently in the news? And it just kind of, the mission came to life before me. And so, I'm the type of person that I believe in purpose.
Yeah.
And I've grown to that point now in my life where it's more about finding or aligning my purpose and having an impact.
Yeah.
Not so much for vainglory, but how many lives can I touch?
Yeah.
How many individuals can I collaborate with to help see a goal come to life?
Yeah.
And, I submitted my application, came up for an interview, and I remember when I pulled up to campus and I saw those buildings, I'm thinking, oh, this is a gym.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
And so I was able to, in my interview, I was able to have some one-on-one time with our president and CEO, Dr. Kyle Parker. And he's telling me the story. He's telling me all these things. And I am having difficulty grasping what he's saying because I am amazed at the view from the window of his office saying, this is all
yes, that's incredible.
He said, yeah. And he said, we have 500 plus acres and we're going to do this next and that. And I'm thinking, this is all you? He said, yes. And, I that's one of the things that really stuck with me is you can see the institution's purpose or mission in action.
Yeah.
And so tying it back to my story, I wanted to ensure that I was aligning with something bigger than me.
Yeah.
And being able to interact with so many young people who either knew they wanted to be a physician at a young age or wanted to be a PT or OT, or those who, just woke up their junior year in college and said, I want to be whatever. Being able to provide those pathways for them and being able to instill that sense of hope into them. And it's not just me. It's a collective of outstanding individuals at the institution, but being able to be a part of their story, whether it's individually or collectively, that's generally where I am currently. Yeah. And I just appreciate the opportunity to help Ake and Fort Smith tell this story.
Yeah.
So Ake is only 10 years old. I mean, it's a baby when we're talking about like institution and their lifespans. You guys just graduated your first class that got placement, correct? Into like they got their residencies or they figured out what form of medicine they are going to be assigned into. What is it like? I mean, 3 years you've been with this program and now you're getting to see the first class kind of go into that, knowing that you had a piece of that, Pete. What has that been like?
Yeah. So seeing our DO students, they graduated first class or inaugural class graduated, several years ago. And like you said, you're seeing them after match and all those things. It's one to not only look at our DO program, but then our Doctor of Physical Therapy. We just graduated our second cohort. And then our occupational therapy program, we just graduated our inaugural OT class. And, just being able to look at just the little bit of assistance I may have provided is one of those rewarding gifts. But then when you look at the bigger picture and say everyone from the administration had a part of this, everyone that is, whether our deans or faculty or staff, they had a part of this story, even to our custodial staff. They had a part of that story. And it's impactful to see the work that everyone was doing, because not one individual can say they helped a student graduate, but seeing how our family at 8 really helped support those students achieve their dream, that's one of the greatest rewards. But now being able to see those students go into the fields and practice, knowing that they got their start here. And now looking at that why is now touching patients, providing them with the care that they need. And we could say, a patient may have had to wait 3 months to see a physician or someone in a particular specialty. Well, probably not anymore. Because of the efforts that AIC was able to play into help filling that gap. And what's most exciting is we're just getting started. Like the ball is just beginning to roll. And you say that 10 years old and we're kind of a baby compared to other institutions. Our president likes to say, we're starting to become a teenager, but we're not slowing down. It's truly about serving the community, and the community needs those compassionate healthcare professionals. And we've got to do our absolute best each and every day to provide the community and the surrounding area with those individuals to help provide the best care for them.
So I have a question on that vein. Do a lot of the PTs, OTs, DOs, students, once they graduate, do they stay in the River Valley area, or do they tend to go back to, maybe they came from California, I don't know, wherever else in the nation, or are a lot of them, you finding a lot of them sticking around the River Valley or surrounding areas?
A good number are, and that's something that is a testament to the area. And sure, you'll have those who will go back home or go to another area, but those individuals who are, let's say, from the Dallas area or somewhere else, they'll fall in love with Fort Smith or the River Valley, or they may find love here in the River Valley. And
there's a pitch.
You're thinking that's what we need.
Find love.
And being able to see those students who were once strangers are now neighbors to the community they're serving. And so
I love that.
It's very impactful to know that there are several individuals who are practicing within the area who came to AIC and graduated from AIC. And so one of the things that my office is working on, and that we as in my colleagues we're collaborating with, is a campaign called Paint the State Green. Okay. And so it's to help address how do we raise our own and keep our own here within the state. And so we do what's known as affiliation agreements with undergraduate institutions. And so those agreements pretty much provide that access for a pathway to admissions to any of our academic programs. And as a result, we have those sites or those institutions, but then we're building a presence at those respective areas. So whether it is Russellville, Fort Smith, Clarksville, those areas and other parts of the state. But what we're doing is ensuring that we're getting buy-in from the institutions, but then also from the respective community, and then working to incorporate a scholarship piece, or more so an adopt a scholar that says this particular community, if you're able to, or a business or philanthropist, if you're able to help fund a scholarship, either for a physician or a student who wants to be an OT or a PT, they come to us, they graduate, eventually they return back home or they return to your area. And so what that does, we'll see those numbers increase of those students or those individuals who want to stay within the state, within the River Valley. And so those are one of the things that we're working on and we're most proud of, because we know that those students want to stay home and they understand that if no one else will, then who?
Yeah.
And so it's important to ensure that the community has someone who loves the community, wants to be a part of it, even if they aren't from the community. But if you're able to, assimilate and be a part of that community, then a lot of good will happen because of efforts that we're doing.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
So when I first moved here, I lived over at the Porches.
Yes.
And loved the area. You get over by Ake and you don't even feel like you're in Fort Smith. Like I'm a coast, East Coast girl. I felt like I was down in Florida or South Carolina in the Porches, hence why I probably chose them. But you talk about attracting students. I mean, it very much, I saw a lot of New York plates. I saw a lot of California plates. Yes. I saw a lot of out-of-state plates. What is it like to try and attract those students to a very hard program to get into? My understanding is that your acceptance rate is very low percentage get accepted into your program. Yeah. But how are you changing that perception for people that are like, it's a great program. What is Fort Smith? Or maybe I have an already preconceived notion of what Fort Smith is.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, now I see this campus and the surrounding area. It's beautiful, but it's still Fort Smith, Arkansas. Like, what does that look like with your students when you're going through that program to interview them?
Yeah. Well, you hit the nail on the head. We get them here. Mm-hmm. And just similar to my experience, when I pulled up on campus, I knew I can see myself walking into this building every day. Mm-hmm. So what we do with the students is not only getting them to campus, but showing them that Southern hospitality. Mm-hmm. And I joke with the students on interview day that, hey, when you came in, did you feel welcome? Did my colleagues greet you? They said, yeah, they really did. Did they ask, how was the drive or flight in? Yeah, they do. Did it seem weird that they just came up to you and just wanted to know more about you? And they say, yes, that is very
That is not,
strange.
New Yorkers are like, no, we don't talk to people.
I told them, please get used to it. That's Southern hospitality. We just like to deep fry it in butter, wrap it in bacon. Like that's just in our DNA.
Yeah.
And so what we do is not only get them onto our campus, but provide them that welcoming experience. Because when you look at it, it's about the students. And so we're not going to put on a facade for them. We're letting them know this is who we are. We want to care about you. And one of the ways that we do so is ensuring that we not only have our faculty involved in the interview process, but we have community members who serve as community interviewers. Then we have some of our current students come and either provide a tour or eat lunch with the applicants. And they're able to share their experience because I tell folks all the time, in higher education, your students are your best recruiters. And so if you have students who have a great experience at AIC, more than likely, once they interact with those current students, they're probably going to lean to coming to us. We just have to do a good job in ensuring that our facilities are top-notch, which they are, ensuring that our curriculum is at the top of its game, and just letting everything else fall into place. So some of the other things that we tend to focus on is, the typical, recruiting strategy, whether it's going to fairs, going to respective institutions, either within the state or within our service area, the affiliation agreements that I spoke of earlier, a lot of creative ways to gain that visibility. And it's also about building those relationships. Because if you're able to give a student a great experience, they're going to tell their family, they're going to tell their friends, and they're going to tell their undergraduate faculty member.
Yeah.
That faculty member or that chair or that dean pretty much holds the key to the other students who are looking to go into medicine or OT or PT. And so being intentional and authentic in building those relationships is so important. And I think that's a lost art. And in any aspect, whether it's business, whether it's higher education, or food services. Customer service is so important.
Yeah.
And relationships are so important.
Right.
When we talk about relationships and customer service, I tend to talk with my colleagues, and I use two examples. We could do either the Chick-fil-A experience, which, Chick-fil-A, you're going to pay a little bit extra, but you always come back.
Yeah.
Because the product is good and the service is outstanding.
That's right.
Like, how do they get teenagers to be so absolutely incredible? I'm always floored.
And buying in to that culture, into that model. And one of the things that I appreciate, they don't scoff when you ask for extra sauce.
Yeah.
Thinking, I will be back because that's what matters. But to that point, it's about creating that culture. It's about creating that environment. And if we're able to get those students here, they can see it, they can feel it.
Yeah.
And as a result, it happens organically.
Yeah.
One of the other things that we do, we talked about the recruitment piece, but we also work to build pipelines. And, one of the things that we're proud of is our mentoring program. It's an acronym MAP for Mentoring and Achievement Preparation Program. And so it helps students from rural, underrepresented, or underserved backgrounds interested in our programs, and we bring them on campus during the summer. And so we started out with our OT and our PT program, and as a result, we gave students 3.5 days on campus. We took care of food, we took care of housing. They're in OT and PT class, they're interacting with students, they're interacting with academic leadership, and they're able to say, I can see myself being here. And as a result, we're now entering our 3rd cohort, but as a result, we've had 12 students in 2 cohorts. 5 of the 12 are currently enrolled at our institution because of that program, but also because of those relationships that we built with their respective institutions. And so we've seen such great success. We were just awarded one of the most impactful STEM programs in higher education.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Awesome.
And then we were also fortunate and blessed to receive a grant to start the MAP program for the DO school. And so we'll be welcoming students in August to give them that same experience. And it's about building that foundation, building that relationship, gaining the trust of those students. And before you know it, they'll be here and hopefully they'll stay here.
Yeah.
And so that's what I would say in regards to how do we get students here? How do we pretty much show that this place is in Fort Smith? You should engage with the community because the community is going to engage with you. And one of the things that we hear, especially from either students from Northeast or somewhere else, they'll say, hey, I was walking in the grocery store and people were just looking at me and they smiled. What's that about? Thinking,
I went to UConn, so that's a legit thing for them.
You're in Arkansas. They are just being nice.
Yeah.
And so
my kids ask because I'll wave at people, and my kids are like, "Dad, you know that person?" I'm like, no, I'm just waving.
That was my favorite thing to do though in undergrad, was to weird out my peers. Would just be look at them and just smile, and they're like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "Nothing, just smiling." Everyone thought it was the craziest thing. So.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
That one resonates.
Yeah. Well, that's great. So what other things are on the horizon you feel like you mentioned the MAP program, but
yes,
what are on the horizon that you're really excited about for the future of AIC? I know that this building, the research portion of this building's up and coming, or maybe off the ground now. I might not be speaking correctly, but that's exciting. But what things are coming around the corner or down the pike that's exciting?
One of the things that is most exciting for me at the moment is just the expansion of the main campus. Because you see we have some construction going on out there, and I mean it's exciting because it's a jolt into the community, and we're just able to see that growth. Some of the other things I'm excited about is just welcoming our new cohorts for our DO program, and then our masters in biomedicine, and then even our master's in public health.
Oh yeah, that's a newer program.
It
isn't
is.
It? Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I think that's one of the aspects I'm most exciting about, because we had our inaugural cohort, and now we're have the application process going for our second cohort for our
nice.
MPH program. And so our team has been doing great.
Yeah.
And I think, but those are the things that excite me the most at the moment. Just the new students coming in, but also just the growth in regards to construction and all of the things that the community will benefit from out at our main campus.
Oh, that's awesome. So we're going to shift gears a little bit.
Sure.
Okay. So you moved to Fort Smith 3 years ago. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. So 3 years ago. What do you do? What are some of your favorite places to eat, to explore?
Okay.
Just in your off time when you're not at work?
Okay. I love 906.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, nice choice.
I came up, and this was before I moved here. I was at a conference at UA Fort Smith, went to 906, and I mean, just the aesthetics.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, this is nice.
Yeah, when you walk in, it's like it feels like you've stepped into a different space completely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so going there to just enjoy the environment, or watching sports.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where, man, I hope this stays a very, very, very long time, because you see folks from the community, they come out, they enjoy themselves. Mm-hmm. You have live music, you have just individuals socializing. It's a great place to have in a community such as this.
Yeah.
So that's my top place. 906.
And it's not too smoky in there, believe it or not. For a cigar bar, I figured it'd be super smoky, but it's pretty well ventilated.
Yes.
Everybody talks about that. They're like, ventilation's great.
Yeah.
I don't think that was what we're hoping was going to be the selling point.
But I'm saying, like, you walk in, it's not everybody smokes cigars, so you may think, what am I going to do at a cigar bar? But it's really not as smoky as you would think
it is not.
Yeah,
and definitely not. Places to eat. I like the egg.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I think, as my teenage nieces like to say, at my big age, I like breakfast and brunch. Mm-hmm. I appreciate a nice brunch spot.
Me too.
So the egg is great. Calico County.
Yeah, that's actually really close to my house. So.
Can we just take a moment for those fried ribs? Oh, man.
I've never had their fried. I've been to Calico County a lot. I've never had their fried ribs. I'm going to try it now.
Please do.
Yeah. Please
do. And the cinnamon rolls are, are amazing. But I remember my first time going to Calico. It was my first week here, and our CFO and our chief of staff, they, treated me to lunch, and I believe we all ordered chicken fried steaks, because obviously in the South you have to have a chicken fried steak. So we ate it, and I was full, and so I get back to the office and I'm called into, a meeting, and it's probably about 7 or 8 folks. We're around a large table, and the presenter is up, they're presenting, and it's a good meeting. Mm-hmm. But for the life of me, I am struggling because a food coma has taken over. And so at the end, I breathed a sigh of relief because I thought no one saw me. I'm free and clear. Fast forward maybe about 3 weeks later, the facilitator and a couple other colleagues, we're sitting around just talking. And, they say, yeah, and apparently we bored Dr. Smith because he was falling asleep in the meeting 3 weeks ago. And I'm thinking, y'all saw me? And they said, yes. And I said, well, to my defense, I had Calico County for lunch. And then we came in. The room temperature was very nice. Chairs were comfy. What did you expect?
You all set the stage.
You set the stage. But those are definitely my go-to places for food.
That's awesome.
And another, if you can't tell, I like food.
Oh, yeah.
Hideaway Pizza has...
Finally, somebody is giving Hideaway the credit it deserves.
Hideaway, if you're watching, I need the meatball hero sub on wheat. Hold the pickle spear.
Oh man,
that touches my soul each and every time that I go. My colleagues will say, "Hey, you want pizza?"
Yeah.
No, give me the sub. What are you talking about? Yeah, but the pizza's good too. I don't want to
really
wag a finger at that, but those would be my places for food.
I love that your choices are non-traditional.
Yes.
Like, it was the fried ribs at Calico, and typically people talk a lot about the breakfast and obviously the egg with the breakfast, but then like the sub and not the pizza. Like, I mean, it's such a very, like, even if you've heard about those places, it's a like, hey, here's a recommendation of something new
I'm going to try those things.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm excited.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there are just other places outside of restaurants that I just think the world of when you talk about Fort Smith and
so what are those places?
So, yes.
You have to share.
So since moving here, I've taken up golf.
Okay.
And so, wherever they'll let me lose as many balls, that's where I'll go.
Yeah.
So whether it's Deer Trails or Ben Guerin, even, hard Scrabble, but I love going and, being outside and just trying to at least not shoot like a 150.
Yeah. That's
in golf.
pretty
like
bad.
that is, but that's definitely one that really that I really appreciate, the golf courses that we have here. Prohibition.
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
great spot.
Prohibition
That
is really nice. Jay and Talisha, they are great individuals. They were, I believe, one of the first ones that I met here.
Yeah. They're definitely. When I think of community trailblazers,
yes,
I think of them. They're awesome.
No, absolutely.
And they've redone that alleyway leading to Prohibition now. So that alleyway from Garrison to Rogers, where Prohibition sits, has been repainted, or there's a mural. There's a sidewalk mural there.
Really?
They just like in the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then they've added bistro lights over that walkway, so it's pretty well lit now too. So it's a new experience too, to just getting there from Garrison, which is cool. So.
See, it's those little tidbits that make it, that give it its pop. Yeah. So I'll have to check that out.
It's really cool
when the lights are on. So that is cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Did you have any more questions?
Nope.
I'm sorry.
Way to cut me off. I'm playing.
I do that a lot. I don't mean
you
to.
You can't really see me. So you have to like turn ahead.
I just want to say thank you for coming on, talking about AIC and the incredible impact that AIC's having in the community. Is there anything that you would like to add before we kind of wrap up?
No, just thank y'all for this opportunity.
Yeah.
I appreciate the visionaries who said that Fort Smith deserves a medical school.
Yeah.
Fort Smith deserves a keen focus on health and wellness.
Yeah.
And to see that growth, to see that impact over the past decade.
Yeah.
And seeing the community embrace AIC.
Yeah.
And our students and our faculty and staff, to the community, thank you.
Yeah.
And we want to continue doing our absolute best to provide a healthier River Valley, and to ensure that we have communities that not only live but thrive.
Yeah.
And so our story is your story. And we appreciate everything that the community has done for us. And for me personally, thank you for, welcoming a kid from Southwest Arkansas to the River Valley, to Fort Smith. It's been a story that couldn't have been written any better.
Yeah.
But I will say the thing that sticks out to me about Fort Smith is the hospitality, the community, and the pride. Those are the three things that really resonate when I think about Fort Smith and the River Valley.
Yeah.
So
Love
thank y'all
that.
so much.
Love
Absolutely.
it. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.